All right, here we go with part 2. This is called The Spiral Returns. Listen close. We've been taught to worship the grid, boxes, corners, countdown clocks. But underneath that rigid surface is a living pattern that never died. You can feel it. Tonight I'm going to show you both patterns side by side and why one of them is ending. First, the material code. Carbon is the backbone of our bodies. Carbon-12 carries a simple signature: 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, 666. Not a superstition, a structure. Matter in this realm favors six-fold organization. Cubes with 6 faces. Hexagonal packing with 1 in the center and 6 around it. Material architecture, 6-fold. That's our starting point, not our prison. Now let's look the left versus the right. On the left, fractals of control, a cube stack, hard edges, a downward jagged spiral that compresses time into short loops. This is what a technocratic overlay looks like in geometry. So social structure in geometry. Everything segmented, tracked, and recycled through the same tight patterns. It feeds on repetition. On the right, fractals of infinity, a golden spiral threading nested toroidal rings, expanding through a coherent hex field. Time opens, cycles breathe, flow returns. Same universe, completely different operating system. The geometry itself is the message. Cubes segment, spirals integrate. And just think about how we're so segmented in every way, and they keep trying to do that. Why do you think we all sit in cubicles when we used to go to offices anyways? Now let's pause here and make this absolutely clear. When I say 666, I'm not just repeating some ancient superstition. I'm pointing at a code built into matter itself. Carbon, the very basis of life on this planet, is made of 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. That's the 666 signature at the atomic level. A cube, the basic shape of control grids, has 6 faces. And hexagonal packing, the way matter arranges itself, always begins as 1 plus 6. So 666 is not evil by itself. It's just the signature of material structure. But here's the problem. When that 6-fold geometry is locked in, when it gets repeated and compressed, it becomes a trap. Rigid cubes, short cycles, downward spirals. That's the fractal of control. So 666 means material 6-fold in compression. The box, the cage, the loop. That's literally what it means. So what does that mean? So if we look at the center here, how many circles are around it? Remember, it's the 1 plus 6. So here's the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you see what I'm saying? The 7 is the breach, the octave, the crown. After 6 steps, the 7th ring emerges above. Just like music resolves on the 8th note, on the 7th day is the holy day beyond the 6th of labor. When the golden spiral rises through 6 rings and crowns at the 7th, remember the one in the middle, it breaks the box. That's the resurrection spiral, the transcendence layer. And when you see it repeat 3 times, 777, it means alignment across all planes, body, soul, and spirit. The triple witness of transcendence. So hear this clearly. 666 is 6-fold compression, the cube, literally what it means. 777 is the 7th ring emergence, the spiral that is crowned. That's the whole story in 2 symbols. The prison of the cube versus the resurrection of the spiral. The golden spiral enters the cube. See here? Let me get out of the way. I want you to see this. This is literally architecturally and geometrically how the resurrection spiral goes through it with our architecture. I'm trying to show you here, but I want you to see how it's integrating into the cube. A golden spiral enters the cube not to decorate it, but to stress it. Resonance applies torque. Torque finds the weak joints. The cube fractures. When it breaks, you don't get chaos, you get revelation. Behind the rubble is the living hex lattice that was always there. The flower of life geometry, the coherent field that supports growth instead of control. When the cube fractures, the living lattice blooms. That's the moment we're in right now. So how does this play out for us? Think in terms of the soul path that Dr. Michael Newton mapped from thousands of past life regressions. Death and transition orientation. Reunion with your soul group. Life review. Learning and planning. Levels of progression. Return to embodiment. That entire journey moves along the spiral spine like the one you're seeing. Nested realms, each within a different time scale. Each toroidal room you pass through, the spirals thread them all. In dense carnations, the cubic overlay compresses time, survival loops, ego loops, short cycles that feel like you're living the same day emotionally. That's the left column. But as the spiral gains amplitude, when you integrate lessons and stop acting from fear, you shift torus to torus. Time elongates. Perspective widens. You start sensing your soul group as a larger ring. You start planning instead of reacting. The geometry changes because you change. Color tells the story too. Newer souls glow pale, off-white, very light yellow. Quiet fields, small core currents, steady buffers. Maturing souls shift green through blue-green. Cores get bolder, halos thicken, trails lengthen. Advanced and guide level souls carry indigo and violet flames, dense, coherent cores, wide shells, elegant resonance trails. The color language isn't cosmetic, it's a readout of coherence. And yes, 6 shows up in the material code, carbon lattice, honeycomb, first rings of the hex pack. But that doesn't make 6 evil, it makes it foundational. The problem is when you freeze the 6 into a box and call it the whole sky. The spiral doesn't hate the cube, it redeems it. It retunes matter back into flow. Zoom out again. Fractals of control take 6-fold backbone and lock it into rigidity. Corners become anchors. Anchors become handcuffs. Short time loops feed the machine. Fractals of infinity take the same backbone and let it breathe. Nested toroids, hex packing, golden mean turns. One system mines attention, the other grows awareness. So where are we now? Right on top of the resurrection spiral. That's what it means That's what many of you are feeling. Systems that depend on tight cycles, predictable reactions are cracking because their geometry can't hold under the higher resonance. The more you stabilize your inner field, heart-centered coherence, honest self-review, clean intention, the more spiral has leverage. That's when the cube starts to split. Not by force, by mismatch. The overlay can't latch onto a field it can't phase lock. Let's ground it in the everyday. Growth isn't fireworks. Growth is roots through hard dirt. You push through dense layers, survival, desire, control. Then heart, expression, vision, crown. That's your ladder. Some lives are short loops because that's the classroom you choose. Other lives stretch time because you're working on apocal themes. Both happen inside the same architecture. The difference is whether your field is boxed or spiraled. Stop arguing with the cube, out-resonate it. Practice longer cycles, attention that holds, promises you keep, compassion that doesn't need credit. That's how you climb rings. That's how the 7th appears, and when you meet the council, you realize the judges are you. The higher iterations carrying talismans from moments you chose love over fear. No one's coming to